This is your time to remember who you are, because your sense of self in these times is going to be of the utmost importance, because as everything crumbles, the only solid thing that's going to remain is yourself. This is Corinne Bloom, and you're listening to Raw Conversations. Hello, beautiful people. How are you doing? Tuning in, I always tune in before I go into one of these just to see like what am I pulling in right now? And I feel like all of these massive transitions that we have been going through, continue to go through, and amidst all of the like crazy chaos and madness in the world, just the word that I'm hearing today is that this is a homecoming. And there's something about the human experience that when things become more chaotic and there's so much distraction and there's so much overstimulation, that the counterbalance is required. And it's almost like we access that almost a little bit easier when there is that kind of that push, that grind, that really uncomfortable nudge. It's like, oh, if I stay in this chaos, it's just so incredibly uncomfortable. That what is it that it's the duality, right? That creates a reflection or an invitation to do the opposite. So you've heard me say this before, that the more artificial things become, the more authentic we need to become. The more chaotic things become, the more calm we need to become. And so if you look to the world, it's so incredibly disconnected from anything that is natural. You know, war isn't natural. Competition isn't natural. Destruction isn't natural. Our innate being is compassionate, is collaborative. And that's why when, actually, you know what? I hadn't seen an NDE in a long time, and it came up on the YouTube channel that I follow. And one of the things that came up in this woman's NDE was that nothing can harm the soul. Nothing. So she was having this review of just seeing just the atrocious things that humans have to go through, you know, and a lot of them are going through atrocious things right now. But the message was nothing can harm your soul, nothing. But one thing can change it. And then it's like as if she was watching this movie screen, right, of all these atrocious things that were happening. And then all of a sudden it switched to people just doing the smallest little kindest acts for people. And what happened is, as she was observing this and she was looking at this kind of like grid of souls, the souls that were attached to these beings, to these people, they would start to glow, their light would start to expand. So the one thing that changes really our soul is when we go into generosity, kindness, care. And I had a really wonderful experience of this, you know, nothing new, but it was a wonderful experience and a reminder of this. I was walking down the street with my daughter and her father, and this man was carrying one of these kind of carts, and it had a huge container of, must have been like beer or something, and then a bunch of glass bottles. And he went down the ramp to cross the street like just too fast, and he lost control, and it all went everywhere. And immediately me, my daughter, her father, and this other woman just immediately came to pick up all the glass bottles and put them in the slots. And I went and got the big thing and rolled it over and like helped him put it straight. And the feeling after doing that was so beautiful. It was just like, oh, that felt really good. And what was interesting, I looked up at the sky and I said, thank you. And the reason was because my daughter had been in a mood. She had been in a mood that morning. And after that experience, it was like something shifted. All of a sudden, it just, you know, it brings you into a different frequency, into a different energy of just, yeah, generosity feels good. Kindness feels good. Like the sense of like, in a moment, you know, strangers came together to help one another. And that creates a sense of community, belonging, like, hey, you're not alone. And so we have this natural desire to want to help, to want to be of service. So that might seem like a total tangent, but it just, in these times where everything is so disconnected and so unnatural, the invitation, which is what we would want to gravitate towards anyhow, is to come home. Come home to ourselves, come home to our authenticity, come home to the loving beings that we are. And just remembering that if you're in a state of like, well, I hate these people and there's a lot of judgment and, whatever the division, remember that that's programmed, that is not your natural nature, or whoever you might be dealing with in your life, that is not their natural nature. It just isn't. It's the way that we've been groomed, trained, just like a dog, right? You can train a dog to be the sweetest, kindest, most gentlest seeing eye dog, right? Or you can train a dog to be a killer. So we are very habitual, we are very programmable, but underneath it all, when we remember who we are and we come back to our true nature, all of these beautiful qualities just naturally come out. So what I want to talk about is, in this homecoming, I want to put it in also the perspective of, or in the context, I should say, of interpersonal dynamics. So it could be personal relationship, romantic relationship, it can be with friends, it can be with family. But I was thinking about this earlier today around, we all want to be loved, and we all love loving deep down. Even if you're like, super jaded, you know that you love love. And there's this vulnerability, right? There's vulnerability to human connection because we've been hurt, or we're afraid of being judged or shamed, or we're afraid of not being accepted for who we are. And so, one of the things that we all deeply really want is to feel seen for who we are, and to feel understood for who we are, and to feel accepted for who we are. So this is more than one thing, but it's all in the theme of, can I be me and belong? Can I be me and be loved, accepted, appreciated for that? The thing that really often gets in the way, I've just dived in. I haven't done a let's dive in today. I've just dived straight in, haven't I? Is fear. If you think about romantic relationships, so much of the tension, there's two different elements, but so much of the tension is, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And then needs. What are our needs that maybe aren't being met? And sometimes fear, our own fear, can get in the way of not having our needs met, right? So, I could do, and I've done episodes on this a long time ago, I could go so deep into the art of relationship. But I want to keep it in this theme of this homecoming, of coming back to ourselves. What we're being asked to do now is to really, really show up authentically. And I think when you put that in the context of interpersonal dynamics, authenticity is the key to connection, is the key to truth, is the key to having that feeling of, I belong, I'm seen, I'm understood, because we can't be seen if we don't show ourselves. And if we don't show our true selves, how can we be seen, right? There'll always be something that's slightly missing. But this homecoming also brings us into this, I don't even want to say that we have this innate want for freedom. We are free. I've talked about this before. Our soul is free. That's its natural state of being. Our human self, all of our emotions and stories and triggers and traumas and memories, all of these things, or conditioning, expectations, create this level of disconnect, of inauthenticity, you could say, because it's like the facade, it's like the Hollywood set, right? But the authentic part of ourselves, the soul part of ourselves, it's like, yeah, I'm free. it is the undercurrent that nudges us into, even if we're afraid to be seen for who we are, or even if we don't have a clue as to who we truly are, which then I invite you, like, go get to know your essence, go get to know your soul. But there will always be this part that's like, I want to be seen for me. I want to be loved for me. And I want to feel free being me. So the first step is, how do I be free within myself? I had someone in my life yesterday ask me, how can you be so serene? Like, how are you in so much like peace within yourself? And I'm like, well, I'm not always a serene, peaceful person. Like, I get mad at shit. I really do. But I'm at peace within myself because I've taken the time to get to know myself. I no longer judge when I'm pissed off. I take responsibility for it, but there's freedom and peace that comes when you've looked at all of the nooks and crannies. You've gone into the shadow. You've gotten to know yourself because you've stayed with yourself in the hardest of moments. And you know how to walk through the dark with and for yourself. And then peace naturally comes. It's not something that you have to try, because it's like, okay, I'm not resisting myself. I'm not trying to be something else. I'm not pretending. I'm not shaming myself. I'm not blaming myself. I'm not punishing myself. I'm not abandoning myself. I'm not rejecting or criticizing or what, the list is very long, right? Of the things, the awful things that we do to ourselves because we don't understand that we deserve better sometimes. So this feeling of wanting to be free can only come by truly facing and accepting all parts, right? And so fear is a big part of that, because if we ignore or deny the fear, or we don't go in and explore and get curious about what we're afraid of, then we habitually act in reaction, but not as our true essence and self. So, when I think about romantic relationships, and sometimes one of the biggest challenges is fear, because fear will try to control, fear will try to change the person, fear will have expectations, fear will have unmet needs. But if what we're wanting is to feel free, to feel true, genuine connection, to feel like we can be authentic, we can be in our truth, and that all of that offers connection, do you see how the fear then becomes like the biggest obstacle to that feeling of, I am free, you are free, I'm authentic, I can truly be myself, you're authentic, you can truly be yourself? The fear comes in and wants to hijack that. It wants to intercept that and says, no, you can't be that, because I need you to be this, because I'm scared. And I'm not even taking care of my own needs because I'm too scared to look. It's love is risky. Connection is risky. Life is a massive risk, right? And the only thing certain, I was saying this to my friend, the only thing certain in life is death. Isn't that ironic? The only thing, we want all of these things to be certain. We're so obsessed with the future because we want to know it, because we want to control it, because we're coming from fear. And the world has been built upon that sense of, that foundation of fear. But when we're wanting to come home to ourselves, the invitation is there. And I think we're wanting that because it would create this exhalation of, stop trying so hard, stop pretending to be something else, stop being afraid of everything, stop trying to control everything, stop trying to know everything. We don't need to keep up with the Joneses anymore, right? This turning around and this homecoming is, you get to breathe out. You get to let your belly out, and you get to relax into who you truly are. And many people will have to go and explore, who am I? Who am I when I don't have society's standards measuring me all the time, criticizing me all the time? But can you imagine what it would feel like to just be you, and to be loved for you and accepted for you in all of your relationships? Wouldn't that feel amazing? And so in order to do that, we have to be that, right? We have to become that. And so it means, have the courage, find the courage to stand in your truth. to be authentic, to be your quirky ass self, you know? But also to appreciate that whomever you're with or whomever you're relating to, that they don't need to be you. They don't need to be like you. I mean, our society is so sick right now with, you need to agree with me or else you're ousted, you're exiled, right? That's crazy. Again, conditioned, trained like dogs. It's a huge act of love to say, I see you and I appreciate you for being you, even if you're different than me, and that I want you to be in your joy and in your happiness and in your freedom. And that's it. It's just the beautiful witnessing of that person, supporting of that person. You know, it goes back to the little acts of kindness that make our souls expand. Can you imagine what happens to our soul when we just appreciate someone for who they are and we allow them to be who they are without needing to change or manipulate them into something else? And often we want to do that because we're afraid ourselves. So what part of me feels threatened by their liberty? What part of me feels threatened by their spontaneity, by their uniqueness, by their authenticity? We have to ask ourselves these questions. What in me wants that too? Why am I trying to control a person or an outcome? What does that tell me about what I'm scared of? Okay, what am I scared of? What do I need for that fear? This homecoming invites us to ask ourselves true questions. And what I mean by true questions is to be really, really real with ourselves. Because the shit out here is going to get louder, crazier, stupider. It's not even a word, but you know, more chaotic, more the illusion. People will become so disillusioned by it, which is great, which is fantastic, because that's when the bubble bursts, the false bubble bursts. But what I'm talking about today, and it feels like maybe I'm not being eloquent or succinct or in this one track, it's kind of expanded into all of these different tangents, perhaps. All of it is to say, this is your time to remember who you are, because your sense of self in these times is going to be of the utmost importance, because as everything crumbles, the only solid thing that's going to remain is yourself. Yourself without perhaps the structures and the systems and the dogmas, the belief systems, the opinions, the political views. When you strip everything back, maybe even your job, maybe even your relationship, maybe even the role that you've played your entire life, the only thing that's left is you and source, right? One and the same. So if you want to grow beautiful plants, trees, flowers, fruit trees, you need to make sure the soil is damn good. And so this period right now, we've been in this period of make sure that your soil is healthy, make it fertile, give it what it needs, water it, give it sun, put your hands into it, right? This is the metaphor for create a healthy foundation for yourself, because your relationship to you is going to be the most important thing as the world collapses. But underneath that, there's already something else growing, and we're growing and emerging through it. And again, I'm going to say it's not something that you need to find something outside of you. It's a remembrance. That's why I say it's a homecoming. This is not like a mission. There's another word and it's not coming to me. It's driving me crazy. Expedition. It's not an expedition to go find something. You're already here. You're already found. You just need to remember. And so that's why it's a homecoming. It's not an expedition to find and discover something that's new, that's outside of yourself. It's a turning around. Turn down the volume of the outer world. Turn off the television. Turn off the radio. Turn off your phone. Get off the apps for a second and just turn back around and exhale. Inhale, exhale. and walk back home to yourself and touch your heart, touch your gut. And you can even ask yourself, what do I remember of my true self? Because maybe your brain doesn't remember. Maybe your personality doesn't remember. Maybe your overwhelm and anxiety and fear, they certainly don't remember. But there is an essence that is you. It's not just in you, it is you. The body is in the soul, right? Not the soul in the body. That part will never, ever forget who you are because it is. It just is. It's here. It's here now. It's always been here. So you can just ask yourself that question. What of me, of my true essence, do I remember? It's not even that I know, that I'm familiar with, that I'm aware of, that I remember. And then let that intuitive answer come to you where you'll just know because you'll feel it. And then if we can do that for ourselves, we can look at someone else and instead of having this power play against them or competition against them, or you're not meeting my needs, that everybody gets into, it's like, can I see you? And can I show you who I am truly? Authenticity is going to be the greatest currency that we have. It always has been, but now more than ever. Especially as shit gets much more fake and artificial and manipulated, right? And you can't tell the difference. You might not tell the difference with your eyes, but you'll tell the difference with your soul, with your gut, with your heart. I saw a reel of Ethan Hawke talking about how, AI can create this beautiful, perfected painting of the sunset. But he says when he sees his daughter paint the sunset, it's more beautiful, not because it's perfect, it's less perfect because a human made it, but it has her essence in it. It's a moment in time that encapsulates and captures her energy. It's a transmission that's coming through her, and that's what makes it beautiful. It's not beautiful because it's perfect and polished. It's beautiful because it's real. And he used an example, which is an example I've used here before, and I agree with it 100%. He's like, you look at people that don't dance very well, but they're so in their enjoyment. They're having such a good time that you can't stop looking at them. You can't stop watching and enjoying because it's the transmission of energy. We have to get out of the superficial. We have to get out of just the material. We're walking into a more metaphysical, dare I say, even though the word has been hijacked, spiritual world. We're walking into a world where it's always been there, but we're finally going to feel it and eventually see it. We're walking into the realm of frequency, not just solidity, matter, right? We're refining. This is the ascension. We're coming into higher dimensions that are just frequency changes. But it requires, as a fundamental first step, authenticity. We cannot do it without authenticity. Because the higher realms don't take bullshit. They don't do bullshit because they see the bullshit. And it's not a judgment, but it's just like you can't get away with anything. You can't lie. You can't pretend. Lying won't work anymore because it will be so obvious. It will be so visible. And that's what's happening in the world right now. The lies, the corruption, everything is coming to the surface because enough of us are elevated that you can see it. There's enough light. It's always been there. This shit has always been there. It's not like, oh my God, all of a sudden the world is getting terrible. It's always been there. We just have enough light to say, I see it now and I can feel it. And so when you meet someone or you come across someone and they're not in their authenticity, they're not in their truth, they're not honest, you're going to know. You're going to know and you're going to go, okay, nice to know you, but no, you know what I mean? It's not from a place of judgment. It's a place of discernment. And if something can't match your own authenticity and transparency and honesty and kindness, it won't resonate. It won't be a match. It can't, So The invitation. Visualize this you that is in the midst of a very chaotic, noisy, scrambled eggs kind of world. And I want you to visualize yourself at the center point of that. And I want you to see yourself observing all of the chaos, but as if you're seeing it like on a film screen and it's happening in slow motion. And you don't need to attach or detach from it. It's just the witnessing and the observing of it. And then I want you to see yourself at the center of that. Turn around and face yourself and walk towards yourself and walk into your heart. And then you can even see yourself turning around and sitting into your heart like this. And then the invitation is to stay there. Stay there and notice that when you are landed in yourself, in your heart, in your soul, what does everything else look like from that place? You're not in it. You're not running away from it. You're just observing what is, but within yourself. This is your home. I'm pointing to my body if you're not watching. Your home in this lifetime is here. Of course, your greater home is your soul and your connection to source, which that is untouchable. Nothing bad that happens here can touch your soul. Nothing. So we don't even need to feel fear death, excuse me. Nothing in us needs to fear death because it doesn't exist. Sure, the body will go one day. That's fine. It's not who we are. If there's any kind of transmission or energy that you can pick through my words right now, that you can take through my words right now or experience, is the feeling of peace when you land inside of yourself. And you're not in resistance. You're not in argument. You're not in war with yourself. You know, if the world is a reflection of our inner state of being, we got to get much more peaceful within ourselves. We have to stop falling for the bullshit. We have to stop letting fear rule the roost and come home and sit in our hearts and recognize that we are innately loving, compassionate, kind, generous, collaborative beings. So that's the invitation. It's not complicated, but it's different than what we're used to focusing on. So take the moments of your day to remind yourself, come back home. Come back home. What does the world look like when I'm at home within myself? Because maybe it looks a little less scary. Maybe it still looks chaotic, but the volume is turned down. It's on mute. Because what you're hearing is the beat of your own heart, is the breath of your own soul. And in that presence, there is calm, there is peace, there is safety, there is home. I don't know if any of that made sense. If you've made it to the end, congratulations. But as always, just take it or leave it as feels right for you, and loving you from afar. Go home. Go find yourself at home. Bye. You've been listening to Raw Conversations with Corinne Bloom. Thanks so much for showing up, listening in, and being a part of the conversation with me.